Welcome to another episode of Only Time Can Tell. I'm your host, Ken. And before we begin, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend and tell a friend. And also, if you click down below, we also have merchandise that you can buy to also help support the channel. Now, remember, Only Time Can Tell, we like to basically celebrate ordinary people doing extraordinary things. We also like to celebrate people who are in the struggle, who are in the process of achieving their goals. To my right is my guest, Donita Michelle. Donita, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming by. I appreciate you sharing your time with us. For our viewers watching, why don't you tell them who's Donita Michelle?
Donita Michelle is a stand-up comedian, a mother, a cybersecurity analyst, a friend, a loyal person, somebody you can depend on. It's like, and I love outdoors. I'm a little corny. I like being outside. I do. I live in the mountains. I got bears and lions and tigers literally living in my backyard with me. I love the lake. I think that's why I stay up there, because I like the water.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm like a nature girl / city girl. I'm from Brooklyn, actually.
Oh, you're from Brooklyn?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
They don't have bears out in Brooklyn.
No, they don't. So this was a big culture shock for me, right. But I do enjoy being there.
Okay. So now you said that you're a comedian.
Yes.
Right. Okay. How long have you been a comedian?
Gosh, I've been doing comedy, I think, for like 6 years now.
6 years?
6 years, yeah.
So what was the moment that helped pivot you into the comedy world? Like, what happened to make you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to try my hand at this?
I think I was slow at it, because I remember as a little girl, like my mom would have company, her and her brother would be downstairs and they'd be listening to Richard Pryor albums, and I'd be sneaking up and I'd go at the edge of the steps so I could listen. I'd be laughing. And my mother was a huge Millie Jackson fan. And, sometimes she could be really funny. So, and somebody told me I was funny once, but I dismissed it. And I was working in IT before, and an older gentleman came up to me. He said, you got something. You ever tried comedy? I said, no, what are you talking about? So the next day at work, there was a book on my desk, How to Be a Comedian. And I took it home, and I read the first page. I pushed it aside and focused on my career in IT. And I became a cybersecurity analyst. And I got a bad breakup was actually what brought me into it.
Right, a bad breakup.
I kept getting lost by this location that said, comedy school. I did it like 3 times. And I said, what, this is not a coincidence. Let me go give it a shot. So, and ever since then, I've just been doing comedy. So
you said a comedy school?
I went to a comedy school at Scotty's Pub, actually, in Springfield, New Jersey.
Really?
That's not a plug for me, but I'm just saying.
Right. So what's involved in comedy school? Like,
I paid some guy $350 to teach me how to be a comedian. And the first question he asked me was, well, why are you here? I said, because I think I'm funny. And everybody laughed, and I said, maybe I'm onto something. So I paid him twice $350, because I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do.
You paid him $700.
I did. But the second time, I just paid because I was a little nervous. The first time I paid him, I felt like I wasn't getting my money's worth. And I went online and started doing my own research. And then I started appreciating comedy for what it was. I took it for granted. I thought it was something that you could just stand up and go do. But there's actually a structure.
Right. Well, and that's what I was about to ask you, because for the viewers as well as me, because I've never heard of a comedy school. But what exactly entailed in comedy school? Like, what is it? Do they help you with timing? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, they help with timing. They help with, getting over their stage fright, whatever. Just being comfortable in front of an audience. Writing, giving you ideas of what to write about. Just being yourself, basically. And I got one of the best advices before I actually started going out on clubs from the owner of Scotty's Pub. He said, keep writing, stay funny, and mind your business. They're working for me so far.
Right. So keep writing, stay funny, and mind your business.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you've been doing it, you said, for 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years. But I didn't start out as Donita Michelle. Okay. I started out as D So Funny. That was my first name.
Okay.
And I remember I was performing in Dangerfields, and a woman came up and she said, I put in D So Funny, and your face came up, and you're not D So Funny. And I'm like, oh shit. So who am I then? And she says, I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing something right, but I think he might be mad.
Right.
So I didn't think anything of it. You know what I mean? I performed and went home, and I tried to access my Facebook page, and it was gone.
It was gone. Okay.
And I was like, For real.
All right, so now you said you've been doing this for 6 years, right? Do you remember what that when you first stepped out on stage, do you remember what that experience was like?
Yeah, I do. I had papers in my hand.
You went out on stage with
and I told people that, listen, I'm new. I need to reference my paperwork, so I'm funny, but we're going to work this out.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah.
And what was the reception like?
They laughed.
So you sitting up there like, all right, why did the chicken cross the road?
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, give me a second, I forgot that one. But they would laugh. The audience was very. But then when you perform in front of white folks, and this ain't no shade to white people,
right.
They're a little bit more, understanding.
Yeah,
they're supportive. So they're like,
right.
okay, get your pay.
Yeah, whereas our people, they were more like, nah, you better make me laugh.
Exactly.
Yeah, I paid to come in here. You ain't even that funny. And it's just like, dude.
To this day, I still carry papers with me. I don't take them on stage with me, but I still have my paperwork with me all the time because I'm always writing. So.
Okay. All right. So have you had? Was there ever a time where you went on stage with your papers and the crowd wasn't necessarily responding how you thought they would, or
no?
Whatever. Any times where at the end of your sets, people would come up to you and just be like, "Man, you know what? I was going through a tough time, but yeah, I saw your show. Yeah, I saw your set. Thank you. You made me laugh. I feel good. I can now deal with my situation and just go on about their day." Like, have you ever had one of those heartfelt moments?
I did, and some woman had just gotten over cancer. She just came back out.
Wow.
And she just came up to me. She said, I didn't want to come out, but I did, tonight, and I'm so glad I did because you made me feel so much better. So that made me feel really good that I made a difference. Making somebody laugh.
Right.
And that's how I look at it. Making people laugh. So.
And that's one of the things that I like to kind of like harp on with this podcast. The successful people, people that are always doing things to try to like make the world a better place. Even if it's basically making someone laugh or whatever, you're giving something to the world, and that's what success looks like. So I applaud you for that.
I knew because I would go to work, trying to chase this dream of being a cybersecurity engineer, and my focus was that. But I was always trying to find the funny in every situation.
Right.
And I do that now today. Like I'm just trying to find what's.
But now that's challenging because how do you find something funny in cybersecurity?
Oh, please, let me tell you.
Because that sounds like pretty serious. Right?
It is serious, but it's some funny moments,
Right.
Everything's like so confidential. You can't say nothing. But now you can't really have conversations anymore. It's like censorship at its high.
Right. Yeah. A lot of sensitive people.
But after being there for so long, I got my own views about who acts into who.
Right. All right. So you said you've been doing comedy for 6 years. So where do you perform? Where do you? Where would people be able to find you performing?
Usually I'm in comedy in Harlem, but mostly I perform in New York. I got a couple of upcoming shows. I got a club. I got a show at Club Evo coming up. I got a show coming up with some heavy hitters actually. A.G. White, Toxey, Tony Bird. So I'm excited about those. It's right. So that's really dope for me. So just check my Instagram page for those.
Okay. And I also heard from our producers that you work with the legendary Smoky Suarez.
Oh yeah. That's
what's that been like? Yeah.
Oh my God, that's like a roller coaster. It's like a ride that just never ends. So I'm really fortunate to have had him, in my life, as far as being a mentor.
Right.
I learned a lot from him. I remember when somebody told me, but Smokey is the greatest comedian in the world.
Someone said, okay.
And oh my God, and every time we go out, he really makes me laugh a lot. So I learned a lot from him. He's like one of the best in the room. So I watch him a lot.
Right. So now, do you find that when you're working, especially working under guys like Smoky Suarez, do you see that as work?
No, I don't. Actually.
Right.
It's like I'm going to hang out with my brother.
Right. Because I was going to say, especially because you also do the cyber security thing too. So that's actually work. But then when you're doing the comedy, it's almost like, you're just kind of like hanging out and, just with people, just laughing and having a good time or whatever.
Well, it's work, but it's like, it doesn't seem like work because you're having so much fun doing something you like doing.
Right.
Whereas, I like doing cybersecurity, but my coworkers aren't very exciting. Let me just say that.
All right. So in the midst of you doing your work, I mean, and I know I tried to touch on this before. Um, has there ever been a time where you perform your skit or you perform your set and it didn't go over well? And if that did happen, like how did you handle it, or what did you take from that?
Oh yeah, I had that moment. I had that moment where I didn't think I did well,
Right.
and I was like, damn, I can't do that again, because I was with Smokey.
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
it was like that ride back was like,
So,
yeah. So you
silence,
know,
right?
he won't say nothing.
Right.
He just be like, and hit the ride. You be like, don't do that again.
Right.
I only had one of those moments, and after that, it's like you want to do, like, it's like you want to do good when you go out with him, because you know he's gonna do good.
Right.
So you know you gotta be like, it's like a level of, I don't know, I put this bar, I guess. It's not really a bar, but like,
right.
When I go out, I'm always conscious about how well I do, because I know if I don't do good, he gonna get that call.
Well, because see, and that's another thing that I had to learn too, right? I guess in life, when you're trying things, there isn't any failure. The only true failure is when you don't do anything at all. Whenever you try something and then say, for instance, you don't get the response or the feedback that you had anticipated, that's a lesson. That's something to learn.
Yeah.
So, like I said, and if you're gaining that, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, all right, so how are you feeling? You just, like you just said, all right, I know not to do that again.
Yeah,
so, and then you just move on. So, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I want to, just reiterate to you guys or whatever. Like, sometimes things may not necessarily always go down the way that you may envision it, but don't give up. Just learn from that and keep pushing forward. I don't know anyone like. I've always heard this saying, right? People tend to think that championship teams never lose. No, they do lose. They just win more than they lose.
Yeah.
So, how has working with Smokey helped you?
Oh God, I got to meet so many different people. I mean, I think I consider myself to be, fortunate, because a lot of comedians. I met Mike Epps early on in my like 3 years into my career. A lot of people can't say that, and I actually got to perform with him. A lot of people can't say that,
Right.
I met a lot of people like up close and personal, like in Greenwood. Like most people don't have that opportunity in their career, so I've been fortunate to be in those circles and networking and shows. So.
Right. Aside from your talent, what do you think it was that made Smokey take you under his wing? Because I know some comedians or whatever, they may have like persistence. They're like always there. They're always there. Always like learning. Always like trying to try new material. What was it about Donita that made Smokey, that you think, that made Smokey say, you know what, I'm gonna take her under the wing because she's got something.
Well, I know that he was telling somebody, because I overheard him telling somebody that he picked me to, I'm gonna just use Tommy Hunger as an example. He picked me to do that with me because he saw that I wanted it and that I was loyal.
Right.
So I think, and he always often told me that that's one of the qualities he likes about me, the fact that I'm loyal. So
right.
I think that was one of the things, and I'm funny too. So
right.
He said you actually make me laugh outside of comedy. So I think that's what it was. And it's hard to make him laugh. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I figure comedian or whatever. Right. His mind must,
Yeah, that's like one of the highest compliments.
Right. You actually make me laugh. That's cool. And you're loyal. So let that be a lesson, guys. Loyalty, also you got to have talent. You can't, I know we're in this weird age now where, you can identify as whatever you want to identify as, like I've heard this saying and I thought it was hilarious, right? If I identify as a NASCAR driver, I can be a NASCAR driver, even though I don't have a license, and it's just like,
I mean, I guess
that doesn't work.
I mean, if you believe in the power of, I guess, the spoken word, I guess.
Right.
I guess it's good in that sense. So.
Yes and no. I was told recently you was backstage at a performance where you got to meet some other comedians or whatever.
Oh yeah, God, I got to meet Eddie Griffith. I got to meet
Eddie Griffith.
Usually,
wow.
Tommy Davidson, Bill Bellamy. Who now?
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, what was that like?
Oh my God, it's just exciting. You know what I mean? Just some more, just exciting, just to see the level of respect that that they have for him, and just like be an admiration, like damn, like it's possible.
Right.
It's definitely possible.
So yeah, so the comedy circuit is definitely, would you say, tight knit, or like everyone knows everyone more or less, or?
Well, I don't know if that. I don't know a lot of people. I just
Right.
my circle is small. They be dots.
Right.
So I don't.
Right.
I guess people. I mean, I don't think I know enough about the industry to even say. You know what I mean? I try to focus on just the work and just be around all these people who've been in the game for so long, and just to be up close and personal and see them perform. It's like
Right.
oh my God, like
Yeah.
dream come true for
That's
most comedians.
amazing,
You know what I
right.
mean? And just to have that exposure so early on in my career. I mean, I appreciate it so much. You know, definitely appreciate that.
So based off of your experience now, is this something that you could see yourself doing like long term?
Oh, definitely.
Right.
I mean, at one point I even contemplated like quitting my job and just focusing on comedy.
Right.
100%. You know, people always say, "Oh no, you don't want to do that. Don't do that. You got to focus." I'm like, well, why not?
Right.
You know,
Right.
Why not?
So how often are you doing comedy now, in conjunction with like your actual job?
As often as I can, I try to get shows in, kind of few shows.
So
Shows a month, yeah.
a few shows a month. Yeah, because I was about to ask you. So like in the course of a week, but like every weekend, you're like
two shows maybe.
oh, two shows
Every
per
other
week.
weekend, I try to just keep myself busy. So
Right.
I appreciate all shows you put me on all the time.
Right. And so now, how do you keep your stuff fresh or whatever? Are you constantly writing? Or?
Yeah, I always incorporate like trying to like certain things that's going on, you know, especially with what's going on, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Like the fires, the smoke coming
right.
outside the house, and like, damn, I have to smoke kush, I can smoke Canadian trees. It's just like so much to talk about, you know, so you got a president that can't even walk a straight line. So there's a lot of material out there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So it's just like material just
Mother's Day,
right in
you know,
itself, right?
Cartoons, like little things just make me just like wonder, like I did a whole set about Dora the Explorer about cartoons.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How did that go?
It went really good. I try to find a funny in anything, you know what I mean?
Right. Okay. All right.
Because I mean, you gotta wonder about Dora. Like, why is she moving the way she moving? This bitch ain't got no GPS. Did she work for the cartel?
No, but she got a map in her
I be
backpack.
yelling at this bitch sometimes because I be like, okay, bitch, you can go that way, not that way. You know, it's a quicker way to go. But you know, you can't communicate with her. This bitch ain't got no cell phone. You know what I'm saying? This is what, you know. So it's a lot of stuff out there. You know, I had to joke about the Kool-Aid man. It's about Jesus.
The Kool-Aid.
For the Last Supper. So there's a lot of shit out there but you gotta, I stay away from certain subjects.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I'm very sensitive. So
Yeah. This isn't the '80s where anything goes.
can't
Right.
really say a lot. You know, some people can't. So my career is not at a level like the Australian level yet. Right. Say anything.
Right.
But I do touch on it like in a good way where it's not offensive to people. So.
Right. I got you. Cool.
But I had to learn that because I had one joke that I did. I never forget it. This one was like, he walked up to me after I got off the stage. He was like, "Don't ever do that joke again."
Really?
Yeah.
Who said this? Smokey said?
Smokey. So it was Smokey.
Oh wow.
To me, I'm in a good position because I'm with one of the guys who people consider like a really funny comedian. You know what I mean? And he's been doing it for so long, and he stayed working. You see, he stayed working.
Right.
And we just watch him. It's like, damn, like over and over again. It's like, bam, back and laughing. It's like you want that same thing.
Right.
Not like envious, but like, man, like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you figure 6 years. They was like saying, you know, you invest like 10,000 hours in anything, you become an expert. So stick at it, stick with it. You know.
There's no real formula on how to get into it. There's no playbook. It's so different and yet the same as corporate America at the same time. If that makes sense. Like, in corporate America, you know, there's an HR department. So if something goes wrong, you can just go to HR. Hey, but not in comedy. If something goes wrong, it's speech level shit, whatever it is.
Right.
It's different. Like, there's no playbook to tell you what to do, what step to take, or you just gotta know what you want, I guess.
Right. And that's why I take my hat off. It's definitely an art form, you know, and like you said, there's no rules. You kind of like got to find your own lane. And, you know, one of the things with comedy too, kind of like with all arts, you got to be distinct. Like you can't copy anyone's style or, you know,
you can't
write jokes or, you know, take jokes. Like that's a big no-no.
That's how it's out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
real.
yeah. I know.
No, you are. I'm just saying.
You're like, I heard that joke
Like matter
before.
of fact, like one night and another, like somebody touched my joke book.
Get out of here, really?
No, you are gonna be. And I was bugging because I was in the bathroom and I heard papers rattling. I'm like, I know something. You bugging. But my book was on one side of the couch. I came out the bathroom, it was on the other side of the couch. And my jacket was hung up. First of all, why is your hands on my belongings? Like, who really? Like, who does this? Like, who does this?
Right.
So I don't know, it's just, some things just personal.
Yeah.
Like your joke book is like personal. Like,
Yeah.
you go to over
Yeah.
mic and touch somebody's joke book. It's like personal. You cut that out. Don't get it on my chest. I'm telling you what to cut out. Look.
You're like, yeah, cut that out.
I think I got the best advice from one comedian one night. He didn't tell me what his name was. It was so funny. But he said to me, there's a lot of comedians that's been doing this 25, 30 years and they've never done anything. They've done nowhere. He said the key is don't get out the line.
Don't get out.
Don't get out of the line.
Don't get out.
If you step out the line, you gotta start all over again.
Okay.
Stay in the line. And I said, excuse me, what's your name? And he walked away from me.
And if I let that some Twilight Zone stuff.
Yeah,
man,
that
like,
was the story. I was bugging out. I was like, I guess you don't want me to. But he did say that, and it made sense. Like, you can't get in out the line because there's going to be somebody else that's going to take your place.
Really?
And this internet game, they say it's like, it's more about how many followers you have as opposed to are you funny?
Right.
So,
yeah, actually, and that's funny that you brought that up because I find that I know that there was this one comedian that I wound up finding through the internet, and it wasn't so much that he was funny, but you figure he was good at making commentary about like certain stars or whatever, and then he would like have videos showing them doing questionable things. And so I think he was able to build a following by doing stuff like that or whatever, making commentary on stars doing questionable acts. So I was just like, I'm like, man, this is really, really interesting. So I'm like wondering now, how does like the internet basically shift, because now you don't necessarily have to do stand up at a club. All you need now is a camera phone and, upload it to like YouTube or upload it to whatever social platform.
but you still got to make the people come to your site. It's
Right.
going to bring them to your page. And just because you say one line doesn't necessarily mean they're going to show up at the club at the show.
Right,
So
right,
it's like you got to go back to that old-fashioned way, getting those flyers and getting out there with people and
right.
handing the flyers out.
Okay. And are you currently online? Do you have material online?
I don't put a lot of stuff online because I used to, during the pandemic, I used to do like this thing I did every day on Instagram. And I don't know, like people used to start sticking my stuff, so I stopped doing it.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
I stopped doing it. I said, well, damn. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like,
And I guess that's
doing
another, that's another point too, because there's no way of regulating it. So
yeah.
people will be like, oh, I like that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
I'm a comedian now too.
Yeah, I'll just borrow that. I guess like I think I heard an interview with Robin Williams one time because he said he used to tell people jokes, but he paid people in the beginning, and I thought, okay, well this is nice to pay people,
Right.
Because he knew what he was doing. So.
Right, right. Let's talk about some of the unpleasant sides of the comedy game or what have you. What have you experienced in terms of like shady stuff with like producers or other comedians? Or promoters or whatever. Can you share any experiences that you may have had?
I haven't had any negative experience with people. I mean, I don't take anything personal. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, it's not me who, you know what I mean? Like, I don't I try to ignore it. If I'm not fucking with you, you obviously did something to me. That's
Right.
me. That's
Right.
But I generally get along with everybody, so I don't.
Right.
I mean, I've seen some things, but I just look at it like this is funny. I've seen people get into fights. I've seen people, argue and stuff like that.
Like stealing jokes or
No, mostly like just like little stuff. Like you said something about me, or why you talking about me? Just little stuff. I see stuff like that, but I don't get involved. I'm not my business.
Okay.
The best advice I ever got was to mind your business.
Mind your business or whatever.
Yeah, it's been working for me so far. But I do have people for, like, to me this is work, and I'm gonna treat it that way. So if you don't treat it anything otherwise, then that's on you. But I do have people who try to say things to me or try to, I don't know, I just ignore them.
Right.
I figure they're just broken.
Yeah. So for the most part, no negative experiences because you kind of, in a sense, don't even allow
Yeah,
yourself to
I don't even like. I don't.
allow
Some
yourself to
people
even.
focus on, oh, I didn't get paid, or I didn't get paid enough. I look more at the opportunities of what I'm, able to get. Like somebody might, not pay me a lot of money. I don't care, as long as I have the opportunity to just get on stage. So, but I do see a lot of negativity out there, and I just stay away from it. I remember one particular incident. I went out to eat with somebody. They were throwing me so much shade, and I was like, wow, what's wrong with this person? And I let it go. I let it go. But then I had to say something, and then it just. But I mean, I wish everybody well.
Right.
So
Okay. That's a good attitude to have, because it's just like, if I don't pay any attention to it, then it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Right. Gotcha.
I believe in karma. I try to meditate. I do meditate. I probably don't follow the same things that people follow. I just keep my energy up all the time.
You want to hear something fun? Because it's so funny because this literally happened to me today. So I was out earlier and I was talking to somebody and some kid happened to run past me and I wound up elbowing the kid dead smack in the forehead or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad, And so I went and found the mom and I'm like, excuse me, I wound up elbowing the kid inadvertently in the head or whatever. I didn't see him or whatever. And she was like, it's all right, I understand that. It's okay. Come to find out, a few minutes right before that happened, the kid was basically trying to kick his mother. He was so angry, he was trying to kick her. So so it was perfect, like the kid literally ran right into my elbow, like with his head. Like, how does that happen?
That's real. That karma is real. You look at people, you just look at them, and if they, I don't.
Right.
For me, like you look at people, you see the negativity, and you just figure that you don't have to do nothing because it's gonna happen.
It's already
in the works.
No debt. Like I always say, the universe is fair. No debt goes unpaid.
Ain't nothing for me to do. You already done it. You already put it out there, so I just wait for you to come back.
Right.
Now I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna be happy shit happened to you. I'm not gonna say that. But I don't wish anything bad on anybody.
Right. I got you. I would imagine there's a lot of people that came up with you or whatever that was starting out or getting their feet wet around the same time that you were. And I'm sure some have taken off, some kind of stalled, and some kind of didn't really take off or whatever. Have you witnessed anything like that in terms of the people that you came into the game with?
A lot of them I don't see because I started out in white rooms initially. So a lot of them I don't even see, except for one girl. She's still going out. She doesn't go out as often.
Right.
I mean, I think she just had a little interest in it. Her name is Donna Lloyd. She's actually pretty funny. She doesn't go out too much, but she tries to get out. But for my comedy class, no. I see a lot of people. I see a lot of growth. Cherry Ann Trinidad, she's upcoming. Not upcoming. She's doing longer than me.
Right.
She's out there doing her thing. Chocolate Shy. Oh my God, she's phenomenal. Chocolate Shy, who happens to be one of my mentors, also. She's been very supportive. Telling me, in on the do's and don'ts. You know what I mean? And he put me on shows. I have to salute her for that. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So the people who, and by the way, shout out to Cherry Ann, we see you, girl. But now, what type of advice would you give to people who may not have, stuck with it as long, or for whatever reason, whether it have been personal reasons or maybe just didn't have the stamina? Is there any particular advice?
I don't know, maybe just find out what it is you really want to do. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Right.
I don't think you should stop doing anything you feel like doing.
Right.
I think that over these last few years, I mean, people losing their lives for whatever reason, no matter what you believe. I think that should have been a aha moment for people, or a moment where people got a chance to recalibrate and maybe thought, maybe I should try something new I never tried before.
Right. Yeah, because I would like to think that comedy is one of those fields that, since it is an art form and it is subjective, that you don't just do it as quick as you would to say get a job at like McDonald's or whatever the case may be, because there's no structure.
No, there isn't, because there's doctors, there's lawyers that are comedians. There's a lot of people that come to that club I encounter that are in different professions.
Right.
Anesthesiologists. There's a lot of people I meet that are in different
Really?
fields, and they went to comedy. I mean,
That's interesting.
it's very interesting. It's a very interesting career, actually.
Right.
Because you get to meet different people from all different backgrounds.
Right, yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because we've interviewed quite a few comedians, and they usually come from a variety of different backgrounds or whatever.
I mean, like Nima Cat, like she's like a doctor, so,
right?
So that's like,
But what kind of a doctor?
I don't know, but the fact that you can even say that you're a doctor, or like use those
because there is Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre isn't a doctor.
Well, they give them those fake degrees, and I'm not gonna call them fake, but that should be a slap on the face for somebody who's spending money to go to college.
Right.
Some motherfucker would never open the doors and get an automatic degree because that's not fair.
No, and it's funny because I remember hearing, like around the time the whole COVID thing was going on, that there was like some school down in Florida that was allowing people to buy nursing degrees. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was just like.
I should have went and got one.
No, well, they cracked down on that, but.
Missed out on another one.
You know.
You could buy my degree. But I don't know.
You're like, I am now a doctor.
Yeah. You could buy a college degree, so.
Well, yeah. Most people who have like a communications degree or humanities degree, a liberal arts, you bought the degree, I know.
I mean, $200,000 for college or $300 for a board degree. I think I'm gonna buy it.
So, was there any drama that you witnessed in the comedy scene?
I mean, it's like little petty stuff, and it's kind of unfortunate too, because we all got one goal, and I thought it was just make people laugh, but it happens, I guess. But I mean, there was some issues with people saying, "Well, you're not gonna have any flyers," and somebody was offended by that. You know what I mean?
Flyers.
Yeah, because I guess in the comedy world, it matters how many flyers you're actually on. So I mean.
So the more flyers you have, the more
success. The person was just starting out; they were new, so you don't expect them to have a lot of flyers. So I thought it was kind of insensitive for them to say. So, but
so they was like, "Man, you don't even have 50 flyers."
Yeah, like what? And I'm like, yeah. So like, there's a lot of competition, and I don't understand why. Like, why are we competing against each other? And we all have one goal, and that's to make people laugh.
I guess people can only laugh at one person.
Yeah. So I don't understand that. Right. So that's the only thing I don't like about this.
Right. Yeah.
And then somebody be in competition with you, you don't even know.
I got one more flyer than you, so I'm better. You're like, all right.
Yeah, like people like I didn't like some, I don't know. And then people come trying to tell you stuff like, hey, I be like, I don't want to.
Or they try to give you unsolicited advice.
Yeah, it's like advice. Not like, the unsolicited advice, but that's like negative unsolicited advice.
Right.
Usually about somebody. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, bro. Like,
right.
But,
yeah.
I don't.
So the producers also mentioned that you co-host a show on Mondays?
Yes, at Comedy in Harlem.
And Comedy in Harlem. All right. What show is that?
It's the Living Room with Smoky Suarez.
Okay. The Living Room with Smoky Suarez.
At 8 p.m. Somebody visit us.
Okay.
I'm there.
All right. Is this something that you enjoy doing, or do you have aspirations of ultimately being a headliner, or
I am a headliner.
Okay.
I'm gonna put out that paper right now.
Right.
I like doing it. It gives me opportunity to practice. It gives me opportunity to sometimes catch up with Smokey.
Right.
See what he's doing. I just like being around it. So.
Right. And Mondays, because you don't know. I guess the typical nights to go out would be like Thursdays, Fridays, or what's the turnout usually like on Monday?
We have our good days and bad days. These last couple of weeks have been like a little I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But we have our moments, but for the most part, we do all right. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. So, are there any shows or projects coming up, or do you do any skits online? I think you said you used to do a skit.
I used to do like this little thing I used to do in the mornings. I would just go on and just I would have like Color Food Tuesday or Side Dish Saturday or just like little stuff I would just say. But,
right.
So I just stopped it. But I got a few shows coming up. Again, I got a show with Tony Burke coming up. And Chocolate Shy and A.G. White. That's up in New York. That's on my Instagram page, Donita Michelle. Donita Michelle. one. I got one coming on the 16th, the 15th, and the 16th. I know that.
Right.
Please check my Instagram page, my Facebook
Yeah, well,
page.
you see, you jumping the gun.
I did?
Yes, you jumping the gun.
My bad.
I'm about to get to that. Now, for our viewers,
You edit that out.
you can tell the viewers where they can find you.
Donita Michelle 1 on Instagram and on Facebook and on TikTok. Donita Michelle. I know that's a really hard name for some people. But somebody told me I should change my name to Donita. I'm like, why am I doing that, man? He said, they won't forget your name if you say Donita. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. They won't forget it. Donita. Donita. But no, it sounds too,
Right.
It sounds too, like, wrong, right?
And so on your social handles or whatever, you have like your dates.
Yeah, my dates are out there. I know I got a show the 15th and the 16th. With both with Chocolate Shy, actually. One is at Club Evo. And I got one with Shakara Curry. Oh my God, I got to she's so beautiful. I got a show with her. She's so funny too. At Club Evo, that's with producer Rob Cruz.
Oh wow!
If I get that wrong. That's it. I just had a show with what's his name? John. Oh my God, I'm so excited about that one. I was so excited when I got that phone call.
Really?
I was like, excuse me, I gotta go. I got an important phone call. I feel like I'm so important, so it was phenomenal. So,
right.
Yeah, he showed me a lot of love.
And you said for the most part, like your IT job, they're pretty supportive in terms of like, you know, the whole comedy thing. You want to, take on jobs and skits like that.
I don't. One thing about me, I don't ask about getting a day off. That's not. I will never ask that. I'm gonna tell you what day I'm taking off and we'll take it from there.
Right. Okay.
So, a lot of people don't know that.
Right. Okay. All right.
But I don't really care. I guess I'm at that point. I don't really care.
Right. You're just doing you. And
yeah, I just don't. I mean,
right.
Like when they told me that, I remember my director came up to me. He said, "Listen, this is before the pandemic really started." He said, "Listen, you either got to get vaccinated or take the test every day." I said, "I'm not doing either." He said, "December 31st is your last day." I said, "Okay, I'm cool."
I heard that.
So
I heard that. Yeah. And here we are now. Right?
Yeah, and I'm glad I made that decision. I would never put it another way. So.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I really had a great time.
Learning about your experience. I appreciate learning everything about you. I appreciate you sharing your time and your energy with our viewers. So that's going to do it for us this week. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Also, there's merch down at the bottom, so you can go out and help support this channel. I'd like to thank my guest, Donita Michelle, for joining us and sharing her experience. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Yeah.
I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will always get an alert when a new video drops. Plus, join our website for information on all our shows, trips, and getaways. If you'd like to support the channel, you can by purchasing our new merch in the link below, or go to www.whattodoent.com.